Good afternoon, Crystal.
Good afternoon,
It's
Jevon.
been a morning indeed. Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I am super jazzed about the broadcast we have today, partially because of all the things that are going on. And I understand that people are scared and they don't know what to do with their 401ks. And we just should talk about that a little bit. And I know I sent you um, information on what we're going to talk about, but I want to change the subject a little bit.
Okie dokie.
Um, at first, I wanted to talk about the 5 ways to take advantage of a down market inside your 401k, and that's always very important because I think people are afraid of what to do, and they may think that they're going to need to get a hold of that money
Hmm.
that's in their 401k because prices are going up um, and they're not sure how to handle that.
Mm-mm.
And
And my understanding this morning, the stock market, because of the war on tariffs, the stock market started to fall this morning.
yes, they've
Um,
been falling. Yes. And
it's
so
falling.
I'm always the optimist. So my thing was, how do we take advantage of that, right? Because we know that the last time that we were in a situation where Mr. Trump was the president, the stock market went up and then it went down. And then, no fault of his, COVID came, and that wasn't a good thing for the stock market. And, and so, it took us a while to recover and get out of that. And that's just to illustrate that markets go up and markets go down, and they're very, very tough to time because you just never
Hmm.
know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's climate change, and there's tariffs, and there are uptimes and bad times, or upturns and downturns. So it is very interesting, kind of how the universe sort of moves things. But I just saw a note saying that a safe haven for some folks inside their investment philosophies, and this is not my theory, but I'm just going to tell you what some people are out there saying. Again, I'm the
Hmm.
ultimate optimist, but there are some people suggesting that a good thing to do is to hang on to what you have, right? So, a good thing to do would be to put your money in some investments that are uh, the word is safe that people like to use.
Okay.
Safe investments, and that would be some type of fixed income, maybe some defensive stocks, some value companies, that tend to hold their value in economic downturns. I think that's not good advice at all. I think that
Okay.
uh, I think that for most Americans, that's a horrible thing to do. I believe for most Americans, I'm just going to go right out and say it. I believe that most Americans do not take enough risk, and we don't look at the long term, and we
Okay.
we react emotionally to what's going on in the market rather than sticking to the fundamentals, which will carry us through. I had a track coach when I was in high school, and
Hmm.
um, he used to say, "Your form will keep you through. Your form will get you through."
Hmm.
So I remember when we would practice, we practiced our form for running track. I ran hurdles, low hurdles, and I wasn't the fastest person. I think is because I started too late. That's another story. But the
Okay.
point of the matter is that the form, you can be fast, but if you have the proper form, it makes you even faster, and it makes the race work out better for you. And so I believe that's the same when it comes to investing in your 401k. And I want to say investing in your 401k because that's what we do here. 401ks, 403bs, we are qualified plan investors. That's what we do. Outside of
Hmm.
the 401k plan, we've got a lot more freedom. We have a lot more options.
Okay.
Think the fundamentals still hold. I'm just going to go out there and say that. I think the fundamentals are still true inside your plan and outside your plan. So what do? Keep that long term in mind. But unfortunately, most of us don't start investing in our 20s. We're not taught that you should start investing in your teenage years and just put a little bit of money away and a little bit of money. We're not taught that. We're
Right.
taught that you should buy a car, or you should buy your whatever set, or you're young and you can worry about your retirement when you get there, or be a kid now. Just
Mm-hmm.
focus on being a child now. Well, that's problematic. And so now we have a situation where most of the Americans that I come in contact with, they're struggling to hang on to what they've got with regard to 401ks, or they're just not in it.
Mm.
I'm just not going to in it. I'm just going to hope the government can bail me out. So coming back to what should you do if you're in a retirement plan, I'm going to say number one, and you're not going to like this, increase your contributions. We know that the market is down. We know that the market's probably going to go down a little while. And we know that eventually the market's going to come back up, because it always does. Inflation does that for us, and inflation hasn't been negative in a long time. So there's a very good chance that just by inflation alone, the market is going to go up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So since we know the market's eventually going to go back, what do? Buy low. And the best time to buy low is when the prices are down. Prices are going down, get in. When the blood is in the street, get in. That's a Warren Buffett thing there. So the first thing I would do is I would say to all of my friends and family and all of my colleagues, I would say, the market is going down, increase your contribution. If you can do another 1% or another 2%, this is the time. Get in there, buy cheap. We can go on about that, but buy cheap.
Okay.
Yep. The second thing I would do is rebalance your portfolio. That is, sell the winners, buy the losers. I would make sure that your portfolio has the right mix of investing that's appropriate for you, right? The right mix of stocks and bonds. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is a good time to make sure that the risk that you're taking is appropriate. So rebalance your portfolio according to what your risk tolerance is. A couple ways to do that, and most of them are easy. You go to you go to your laptop, you go to your computer, and you hit the rebalance button. If you're in a 401k plan, hit the rebalance button, and the portfolio will get rebalanced to your asset allocation. It's simple. If you're outside of the 401k plan, we used to do this manually when I was working at the Vanguard Group. We would rebalance portfolios outside the 401k plan, and I was one of those people that would spend half an hour on a phone call with somebody doing that. I would say, don't do that. I would say, call up the folks at wherever you have your money. This is outside your retirement plan now. And say, look, I want to rebalance my portfolio to where my asset allocation is. Hopefully they'll say to you, have you taken the risk questionnaire so that you know what your risk is? Right?
Okay.
Hopefully they'll say that to you. And if that's the case, then they can rebalance the portfolio. They can take everything, move it into the money market, and move it out back the way that you want to have it backed, right? So not a big thing. So number one, increase your contributions. Number two, because we want to buy low, sell high. Number two, let's rebalance that portfolio. So that's the act of buying low and selling high. And then number three, remember, this is a long-term thing. If you're 62 and you're going to retire in 65, at 65, that's still a long time, because you may not actually retire at 65. You may not actually retire until you're 72. So you may still be a long-term investor. So let's take some reality pills and make sure that our time horizon is correct. And then we want to do what's called dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is the amazing thing that'll let you buy at all kinds of different prices. So just set your calendar. Okay, I'm going to put in X amount of dollars For most of us, it's our paycheck. Every time we get paid, put some money into the retirement plan, put some money in, put some money in. Now, here's the deal. Your employer, they may only match, if they do, they may only match your contributions on a semi-annual rate or a quarterly rate. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we as investors, we want to put money in on a regular basis, as much as we can on a regular basis. We want to take
Okay.
advantage of this downturn because we don't get downturns enough, right? We need to take advantage. You're probably saying, yes, we do, Jevon. We really do. No,
Okay, Jevon.
it's in reality here, right? Number 4 is if you have an employer that's match, if you're fortunate enough to have an employee match, and let's just get real here, it's not the employer's job to save for your retirement. That is your job. But if
Right.
if your employer will match any of your contributions, if you're fortunate enough to have that, please get the match. Please at least put in the money to where you can get the match. Most financial advisors suggest you put away 10 to 15% of your income
Uh-huh.
because most people just don't save enough. They start late, so they have to put in more and have to take more risk. The employer money counts. If you need to save 15%, you put in 5, your employer puts in 4, that's 9. You've got 6 more to go before you get to 15. That's a lot better than if your employer puts in 3 and you don't do anything.
Right.
Right? So get what's coming to you and then see if you can get to that 10 to 15%. So take advantage of that. And then the last thing, and I'll let you talk, the last thing is you have to diversify. Nobody knows what part of the market's going to go up, what part of the market's going to go down. And as you remember, back in 2008, 2009, the whole thing, there was no place to put all the market was down everywhere. Stocks were down, bonds were down. And that was a quote unquote huge buying opportunity for those of us who didn't save beforehand, right? So we used to start dumping money in a well-diversified portfolio with the right mix of stocks and bonds, right? Just put money in, buy, because the market's cheap. And then when the market came back in 2010, we profited from that windfall.
Okay.
Now, some folks are going to say, okay, Jevon, that's all well and good if I don't have anything, but how do I hang on to what I have? Maybe I don't want to work past 60 years old. How do I hang on to what I have? What do I do to hang on to this inside my retirement plan?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, we don't have anything for that. I mean, you could put your monies into something very stable, like, for example, some type of fixed income piece, with some type of defensive stocks like utilities, that kind of thing. But I can't promise you that your monies will stay there. I can't promise you that you're not going to have some type of risk. Short of taking everything you got and sticking it into a bank where you can get FDIC insurance, we're kind of stuck.
Right.
So the mindset would be turn yourself into a long-term investor. You cannot win as a short-term investor in a retirement plan. It just doesn't work. Turn yourself into a long-term investor. And if that means that you start an emergency fund, because I'm big on the emergency fund.
And people really need an emergency fund right about now.
They need to be calling a friend.
Stuck under the mattress of your house, in your house.
Somebody. But yeah, I would say it's very tough inside the plan. But that's why you have an emergency fund. So I would start building that emergency fund because that's going to allow you to say, okay, at least I got 6 months here, or 8 years, 8 months, right? And of course, don't beat yourself up. If it takes you 2 years to develop an emergency fund for 6 months, that's fine. Just start. Okay.
Yes.
So that's the first 15 minutes that I was going to talk about with regard to how to take advantage of the down market. I just want to repeat those. Number one, get in, increase your contributions. Number two, rebalance that portfolio at your particular level of risk that's appropriate for you. Don't let the market determine when you make moves. You let your life determine when you make moves.
Mm.
Number three, if you're not putting money in on a regular basis, start. We call that dollar cost averaging. It allows you to buy at an average price. Start with the dollar cost averaging. Most of it's our paycheck, but let's say every month, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, whatever it is. Let's put the money in on a regular basis where it's clockwork. You don't have to think about it. Number
Right.
four, get the match. And number five, you've got to have a well-diversified portfolio. A well-diversified portfolio allows you to make the best possible move with regard to putting your money so that's not everything is going to go down. It allows you to tap into the theory that my whole portfolio is what I'm looking at rather than one piece of it.
Right.
So the advantage is this part went down and this part went up, but my portfolio in general is X, right?
Mm.
So diversification helps you take advantage of all parts of the market. So spread those assets around. Now, when I say diversification, I don't mean let's put some money in this large cap over here, some money in this large cap over here, some money in that large. That's not diversification. There are essentially 9 asset classes. Get all 9 if you can, right?
Okay.
Really diversify
Okay.
your portfolio. Okay. I've talked for the last 15 minutes. I know you have some questions. What you got for me before I bring back
um,
be that guy?
don't be that guy. Yeah, you're gonna do the that's right. We're gonna re-implement the don't be that guy. Yeah, no, I just I think this is good advice because people are a little antsy right about now and feeling remnants of the last time this president was in the office and
Yes.
what that looked like. A couple months after he was in, or whatever that was, I can't even. What he came in 2020, so 2020, no, 2020, we had the major pandemic.
Mm. Yeah, that wasn't his fault. We can't blame
That
him for
wasn't his
anything.
fault. It's just how he handled it.
At
And
least
so here
that's what we're
we
saying.
are.
We can. We're not. We're just not going to.
Yeah, in we're in another critical crises, but this one is be even more so than that one, and just a whole lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff going on. The companies that are changing their some of their policies from the DEI, and I have there's pros and cons to that, but at the same time, there's just a lot of people just not happy right now with companies. So if you're working for big companies that aren't publicly traded, um, your company can or will be affected by decisions that are being made by an individual in your company, and so that can drastically affect if you happen to be invested even in the company stock. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and these are companies that consumers are deciding if you don't respect them, then you don't respect their dollars. So therefore, they're going to stop spending their money in your store in with your business, which definitely is going to affect your stock because it's all based upon revenue.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I wanted to back you up to the company stock, the comment you made about company stock.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in the last century, oh God, we saw in the 90s there, people that would load up their portfolios on company stock because the idea was that if you work for a company, then you need to support the company, which means you want to buy their stock.
Mm-hmm.
Now most people say no more than 10 to 15% of your portfolio
Ah,
be
okay.
in company stock. I've seen people say 25, but I say 10 to 15%,
Okay.
because as you said so eloquently, you just never know what that person is going to do, right? And so diversifying your portfolio means you want to have some company stock. Okay, I'm going to say 10 to 15% at the most,
Mm.
and then spread those assets around, because I think you're making a very, very good point. Many of us back in 2000, well, we've seen this a couple of times, right? We've seen the dot-com bust, 2001. We saw the credit default swap thing in 2008. We
Mm-hmm.
saw the pandemic in the 2020-ish there. I would just remind everyone that the markets came back, and there's a story that I won't bore you too much with, but essentially someone asked, a wise man came to ask a king, what was the phrase that made strong men weak and make weak men proud?
Mm-hmm.
And after searching the whole world, uh, someone came into the king and said, "This too will change."
Mm.
I think we have to take a look at and remember that that is the way that our political landscape is. That's the way that our investment philosophy or investment issues are. This too may change. It's going to change. We just got to get through it. We got to get through it.
Mm.
And the the best way to get through it, if you're inside a 401k plan, is think long term. Think long term.
Okay.
But let's bring back the don't be that guy. Okay, so I thought about the don't be that guy, and it came to me that um, actually, I'd like to say it came to me, but it didn't. Someone actually asked me the question. And they said, "All right, should I pay off my credit card bills or invest in the 401k plan?" So, first of all, there was a couple of us in the room that he was talking to, and we suggest, why did this have to be an or? What's wrong? Does it have to be an or? Can't we be an and? Can we, right? But that's a very important answer, because time in the market is dramatically more important than the time you get into the market. As to say, being in a market for 10 years is dramatically more better. Can I say more better? That's not a term.
Is better.
Is better.
Is better.
Is better than getting in the market at a particular time. And for most folks, for most of us, we hear about a hot stock. By the time we figure out to get in, we've lost the benefit of that rise, and we get in when it's going down. And then we panic and we sell high and buy low. I'm sorry, we sell low and buy high, and we keep doing that, and we're very frustrated. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. Get in the market now. Put together a budget to reduce your credit card bills over time, and get in the market now, I would say.
I agree. And I think, anytime we're talking about money, your money, and whether it's your savings, your retirement, whatever it is, we really need to be thinking rationally and long term, because things change so frequently nowadays.
Yes.
You got to think about what happens. And I know sometimes it's hard, because like right now it's hard to see 4 years from now. But and let alone 10 years from now,
Yes.
as you're coming close to your retirement, and what
Yes.
is on the horizon. But I think the more planning and goal setting and reviewing and having conversations with professionals that you can trust is the best way. It's the better way to do it. It's making sure that you just sit down and have conversations, and there's no dumb questions that you can call and ask your financial advisor, especially if it's concerning. If you're keeping you up at night, it ain't a dumb question.
Exactly. Exactly. And not to mention that you are paying them.
Right, and you are paying them, so there are no
for you. So.
Yeah, so there's no dumb questions, just a question, and you want that question answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not have said it better than that. I think we're going to make that the last word, but I'm going to take the last word, because I am going to read Crystal's bio.
Oh, okay. I
There you go. But before I do that, I want to tell everybody I am Jevon Thomas. I'm a licensed retirement plan advisor. I sell retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, that kind of thing. But more importantly, I'd like everyone to meet my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. She is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's the co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and we need to emphasize that, teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, thank you so much for joining. Did you want to say a few more words at the end?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Thing there.
It was a good conversation, and especially during this time. And I don't think we can reiterate how important it is to really take time with your finances and make sure that the right decisions are being made, because you're looking to invest for the long term, not for the short term.
Bingo. I could not say it better than that. Looking to invest for the long term, not the short term. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. All right, everyone. Thank you. This has been Conversations on the Patio. We will see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.